Hi guys, I'm Emma and we're back again with the third interview in our series by The Mud Show and Air Podcast. Today I'm here with Berlin-based producer and DJ Dana Ruh. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
So how was your set today and what can you tell me about the records that you chose to bring with you?
I mean, I was quite happy with my set, and the records are, it's kind of a little insight what I like in music. I go from minimal to house music. I like breakbeat a little bit, and I just try to put it all together in once.
So obviously I was reading a lot of your past interviews in preparation for our talk today, and something that you said several years ago really stuck with me, and you said, I make music how I feel, that's the only way I can work. So I'm curious if you have the same approach to DJing, do you also play how you feel?
Absolutely. I think I have to play what I feel. I really have to like it, or otherwise it's not a point, I think if it comes to a creative thing that you're doing, you have to be real always. You cannot pretend that you are playing a record that you don't feel. You have to feel that. It's like also making music, you always have to feel that. You cannot play something because somebody is expecting it. Everything that you have to, in my opinion, everything that you have to play or you produce, you have to be real always. That's the whole point for me.
So how would you say that your set today represents your mood today or lately in the past the past year, I guess, since this lockdown happened?
I tried with this set, I come from house music. I produce a lot of house music, but I also like the approach with the new sounds. So I try to look for records that represent a certain vibe, but also have a modern twist in a way. And the set today was the mixture of that. It was really important, I don't want to be old school all the time. I want to mix it up a little bit, have a modern twist, maybe some records with attitude, and mix it all together and create this kind of vibe, but still kind of a journey.
Obviously, because you don't have that same feedback from the crowd when you're doing a live stream, are you relying more on your own sort of energy to kind of keep things going and keep that story going that you had in mind?
If I do a live stream, it should represent me, because you don't have, what you said, you don't have this kind of energy thing. So I have to listen to myself, and I just want to play records that I really feel, and as I said, stay real, because you have no exchange. It feels always weird, you play live and you're standing there, you play for nobody in the end. So at least I have to enjoy that.
Definitely.
So that's
it's a bit more personal maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
That's personal.
So does playing a set also feel like an emotional release in the same way that making music does? Like, do you really feel like you're kind of letting out all your emotions when you're playing?
Yeah, I could say that, yeah.
I guess I'm asking because I've spoken to a lot of DJs who are sort of on the opposite side of that coin, who say they're not trying to tell a story, they're not really in touch with a certain emotion, it's more just playing tracks that people want to dance to or playing tracks that they like. So what do you reckon to that?
Of course you play tracks that you think that could work on the dance floor, but also it's not the point to play tracks just, to work a dance floor. If you don't feel connected to these kind of tracks, then you have to feel connected, and it has to represent you, especially in the live stream as well. So it's just it's the same, the dance floor, but also with the stream. There's a core of the set that you are doing. It always has to be the same, in my opinion.
So would you say that, at least for you, it's sort of impossible to separate music from emotions?
Absolutely impossible. Should not be.
Apparently when you were younger, you were in a band and you also worked as a backup vocalist for some time.
Oh, really? You did?
I did my research. So you became interested in electronic music because I guess you were looking for other ways to express yourself. So can you talk a bit about that time in your life and what sort of necessitated this self-expression or this need for self-expression?
Yeah, I was part of the band and I did this. It was a nice experience, but also, singing is something else, backup vocal is something else. And when I did this, I was quite nervous or something. I always wanted to express myself, but I was looking for an art form to express myself. And I thought with the music, like playing as a DJ, you can do this. Also producing music, you can do this. The thing for me is the excitement. You know, you're on a stage, you're with a band, and that is so exciting. That was difficult for me. So this, of course, you're also on the stage, you know, but
people are really focused on you so much.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is what you say. Yeah, this is what we wish for, because a DJ, you know, we are all the same, but lately it is something else. You know, it's like you would play in a band. This is what it is right now as a DJ. But in general, my thought was, you know, I could express myself with the music, with what I'm playing, and would not be on the stage singing or something. That was just a choice I did, because I felt more comfortable like this. Yeah.
So what do you think that making electronic music offered you that you couldn't get from making another type of music or another field or another job?
I mean, I do a lot of music. It's not just electronic music. I also have other outlets, which I'm still working on, but electronic music is something I learned that, I studied it, and it made it easy for me to produce this kind of music. And I just took this as my outlet, because I could put my emotions in that, and it was easy for me to understand and to put this all out. I mean, still I do other things, but yeah, it was just logic for me also, because I was going out and I enjoyed that, and I like this mixture of hypnotizing situation when you're on the dance floor, and for me it's a challenge to have this hypnotizing situation and to put still emotional touch into it. This is a challenge for me, and that is how I express myself.
But so in terms of producing, like you said that it's always been kind of natural for you to express your emotions through music in that way. There wasn't like a learning curve where you were kind of like figuring out how exactly to channel these thoughts and this story into a track?
Oh, it was definitely, I had to learn that as well. You know, it was not coming from the beginning, because you listen to a lot of music, you understand you want to be a part of this, maybe, and then you do certain things. And I did a lot of tracks also, you know, and the first tracks that I did, you know, sometimes you're in a situation you want to please somebody, because it's, you want to enter this thing, and then you're going to do it, but then it's a learning process to come to the point where everything comes together. The emotional aspect with the dance music, it was not there from the beginning, but it just came all together for me like that.
So when you say that you were maybe trying to please someone, do you mean like, you know, labels that you wanted to release on?
It was not about labels, it was about, you know, I started to collect records in '96. Yeah, that's where I started. Then I started producing in 2004, and then of course you have a lot of influences. What music is going on, you know, what records are out there. You take all these influences and then you try to create your own music, especially if you're learning certain things, and then you just try to create something. You know, you have to grow with making music also. And also making music is to discover yourself and to really understand what you are all about, you know. You take influences, but then you have to have this travel inside of yourself and to really understand what you want to express and how can you express this. It's really important.
So looking back on those early tracks that you mentioned, like, do you still, I don't know, does it feel like there's a kind of a nice sense of maybe immaturity or like a naivety that you can sense in your music?
That's interesting, because if you make tracks, and sometimes when you started, you listen to certain things and you are more immature, which makes it interesting, because you have ideas. The more you know, the more maybe you overthink.
Sure.
Yeah? And that's interesting. Then you don't know that much. You do these tracks. I don't know what to say. You know, it's weird. You know, I did all these tracks, and still I'm happy with these tracks. Also, you know, I cannot say that I'm embarrassed or something.
Sure.
Because
it's all part of it.
It's part of it. You know, but yeah, it's a learning process.
So is this emotive or emotional quality that we've been talking about, is that something that's maybe most important for you over something like technical perfection, for example? Like I think
Absolutely.
for a lot of artists, they get very concerned with sounding perfect or having everything be kind of technically correct and kind of foregoing the more interesting or emotional side of themselves in order to achieve that.
Yeah, for me it's a completely opposite thing. You know, I'm not doing the tracks like being technical on point. I start with an emotional situation there, and sometimes I also like when it sounds wrong or something, because it's some magic that you can work
more
out.
Human touch, for sure.
Human touch, and for me that's all about this. You know, it's I don't want my tracks to sound perfect. I like certain dirty things. I like human touch. I don't want to do this perfect situation. You know?
There's a really nice interview segment of yours where you talked about a time where you were going through a rough period, but you were continuing to make music, and you said that you made tracks where you can really hear that kind of struggle that you were going through in the music, but you would probably never release them because those aren't the feelings that you want to convey. Can you speak a bit about that?
Yeah, you know, I do music, for example, when I can do music. It's not that I do music to release music. So I express myself with music, so that means I do music in every situation where I'm in. That doesn't mean that I have to release these tracks, that these tracks are for me to just catch this moment where I'm in. And it helps me, you know, because I'm not such a person that's talking a lot or something. I'm hiding, yeah. So I do these tracks just for myself, and I would like to leave it also. If I listen to it again and I feel ready to release it, I would. But when I come there and when I do this kind of music, it's for me, you know, it's only for me.
I know that, for example, you try to go into the studio, you know, every day if you can. And make music, and that routine is really essential for you, even if you don't end up doing anything that's very productive or of value. Why is that? Like, why is it important for you to kind of always be making music and kind of staying in that mode, that creative mode?
Yeah, because it's also, you know, I studied, I had certain jobs, and I do this to keep this thing going on, you know. I like to be productive, okay? I like to get up in the morning, I like to go to the studio, I like to do all these things. It's not that I go to the studio and I think, you know, I create a track, and it's not about this. It's just a certain discipline, and I think it's really important to have this discipline. It doesn't matter if something comes out or not. I just want to have this to keep myself going, and I don't want to get lost into, you know, not being productive. And even if you do something in the studio, doesn't lead to a track that you're going to release, you always learn, and this is important, just to have this. It's just discipline.
Yeah, discipline's a nice word to describe it, yeah.
And I'm about this also, you know. If you see my history with all the jobs that I have, I like to keep this discipline, because you go 5 days a week to the studio and nothing comes out, and the 6th day you do an amazing track, and
I guess you never know.
You never know, and even if you're sitting there 5 days, everything leads to something, and this is, you never know, but you have to keep this going, because you just have to stick in there and don't waste time, and just
like keeping the momentum going.
Exactly, all the time. And as I said, nothing is for nothing, you know. Sometimes you create something and you take this part and put it into another track that you started. It's just important like this.
You've also said that it's not always easy to present and release something that represents something maybe a bit more vulnerable inside of you, that's actually one of the hardest parts about making and releasing music. So is that something that's still hard for you, like the act of actually presenting this inner story to your listeners?
I think, I mean, in the beginning, it might be hard, but then also you have to be aware when you produce music and you want to release music, you have to be aware that people are judging about you. You really have to be aware of this. So if you want to go this way And if you want to continue, it cannot matter to you. You know, you make yourself, whatever you do, whatever you release, whatever comes out, you know, to the public, makes you vulnerable, always. And you can deal with it or not. And of course, it was hard for me, you know. Definitely, if people say, she did this, or this was terrible, it's doing something to you, of course, because some things they say that makes you better, you know, and some things they are just very personal, but they don't put anything like a worth to your work. They don't push you forward, okay? But when you go this way and you really want to release your music, you have to be aware. The more you do, when you take it serious, you make yourself vulnerable. And you have to deal with this no matter what. It's very important. And you have to deal with the fact that, and this is important, you have to understand not everybody can like you.
Of course.
And this is the key point. And this is also, the more you're aware of this, the more you're free. Okay? And when you're free, then you have the possibility to create more great music. For you, great. Not for everybody.
So when was the last time you put out a track or a record that felt very personal or very, like you were showing a vulnerable side of yourself? And what was that like for you?
When I put out a track or when I release something, I only release music that I can listen to, that means something for me. I would never put out a track that is just like this, okay? I only put out music that is just like this. So every time you see a release from me, that means something to me. Last time was, I think, 3 months ago or something. But I would not put out a track that doesn't mean anything to me. No, I have this also in my archive. I'm listening to it, and I'm not in a hurry to put out music. So everything means something to me.
So how has releasing music on your own labels, Brouquade and Cave Recordings, informed the way that you make music? Do you feel more of that freedom that you mentioned earlier with what you can do or how you can experiment, because you are kind of totally in control of what you're putting out?
I mean, Brouquade is for friends and for artists I would like to support. When I did Cave, that was for me, especially only for me, because you know, sometimes you just need space to put out the tracks that you are feeling, and what you said, that are personal or something. Yeah, I just do it like this. I use these labels for support. On the one side, I want to support the artist, of course. On the other side, I want to have the outlet for my own music. And of course, you know, that gives me control, yeah? Because if I feel something is good, and I just don't want to be in the situation that I have to send out my tracks to persons and have to wait for answers, because if I feel something is good, I just want to have the possibility to do it like this. And that's why also I created these labels.
So how essential is that option to experiment, or that freedom? Is that something that's really important for you as a producer? Like, is that an essential ingredient in how you make music?
I mean, experimenting, yeah, I do it in my way, but also I'm not a producer that is looking for certain sounds. I'm very clear about this. I'm somebody, I go with vibes, you know, I like to express feelings. And if I have the possibility to use certain tools, maybe somebody else did it, but I can express myself, I use it, you know. I'm not inventing something new. I'm not this kind of person. Other people can do it much better than me, that's a fact. But I am just going for this, you know. So experimenting, I still do this, and I will always do this, and sometimes it leads to something, but I'm not sitting there like, oh, I have to do this,
right.
I want to
have to try something new.
Try something new. I mean, if I want to try something new, maybe there must be a new instrument or something like this, but it's not what I'm going for. I do things just to express myself, okay? And I use everything other people maybe did already, but I'm not trying to show you some crazy sounds.
It's not like innovation every time. Yeah.
If it happens, I'm happy, but I'm not pushing for this.
It's not the goal.
That's not my goal, and I'm very clear about that. I will never be this person, never.
Would you say that these days it's the most confident or comfortable that you've been as an artist over the course of your career?
Oh yeah, I definitely grew. Yeah, I feel very confident with myself, yeah.
Do you think that's just like from experience or getting older, or what do you think?
I think it's
is?
from experience, and also it's the longer you do that, the more you understand what we said. You know, people will judge you, depends on how much you take on of this. But there will be always people that don't like what you're doing. Okay, you have to understand that. And if you understand that, the more you're comfortable, you can be comfortable. Because I just do what I do, and I'm happy what I found for myself. I can define what I'm doing. I feel happy with what I'm doing, and that makes me just comfortable. You know, I feel good with everything. I just feel good.
So is this freedom that we've been talking about something that you're also able to offer the artists whose music you're releasing? Like, as a label owner, do you give your artists the same kind of freedom that you always wished that you had?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not that if they deliver a track, for example, it's not that I say, you have to change this or this. If they ask me, I can advise. But it's not that I am asking for this. If they deliver a track and they say, okay, that's ready, then I take this track and I want to give them this freedom. It's because I don't know what they thought, you know, it's important to let them just go. And
do you think that results in the best music?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you think about a time where you've had this kind of situation where you really let an artist express themselves and it resulted in something that was really special?
Yeah, I had one artist, for example, Christopher Ledger is an artist I'm working right now, and we worked for couple of years right now, and he always had doubts, but then I said, just let it go, you know, just stay like this. You don't have to. It's weird, you know, you do music and you have an idea and then you doubt yourself because you're in a certain environment and everybody is telling you this and
worrying about pleasing people,
yeah,
like you
exactly,
said before. Yeah,
pleasing people, but just leave it like this, you know, encourage them, just give them confidence like this. And this is especially one artist that I was like, that's great, you know, you don't have to worry, just leave it like this, and he's great, you know.
So what else are you doing to help foster that kind of environment for self-expression? Like, would you say that your record shop and distribution company, KMA 60, is also a space for artists to explore that sort of self-expression that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the shop is, everybody is welcome, there is no judgment, we don't want this, and this is a place where you also can connect with people. The place is not just a record shop, it's a place where everybody is welcome and everybody should connect, and maybe there are people they connect in this place because they meet and they would never connect somewhere else, and this is what I wanted. And I, especially for this, I did this shop. Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of in the same way that it's important for you to go into the studio and just kind of be around this musical environment. Are you hoping that people feel that way when they come into the shop, like that it's just inspiring for them to be around you guys and around everybody else and around the tunes and things like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's also nice. Sometimes I'm in the shop and I'm surfing records and then people come and we just have a talk, and I learn from customers also, which is nice. They have advices for records and we have this, it's a communication thing, you know. I don't know everything, you know, and it's nice also to express that and just to have this communication. It's
and have
really
the feedback from them as well.
Feedback, and everybody is also in this environment, everybody is the same, you know. I don't want that maybe you're super famous DJ or whatever, but it doesn't matter in this environment. We are all the same. We just want to talk about music, we want to encourage ourselves, and we want to learn from each other. That's important. It's not who you are, it's just how we communicate. And also you have to understand, you can play this party, that party, you can go there, and you can be super famous or whatever, but if it comes to music, we are all the same.
Everyone's on
listen,
the same page.
Yeah, all on the same page, and that's important. And that's also important for the shop. We treat everybody the same. There's no, you can be this kind of DJ, but you get the same treatment as if my neighbor was coming.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all the same. It has to be like this.
So what else are you hoping to add to your kind of network of musical and creative platforms? What else is on the horizon for you?
Yeah, there are some things on the horizon which I cannot talk about right now. I'm sorry. But I just hope that we are getting better and better with the shop, that we increase the network, and this is what I can say right now.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.